Hey guys, it's your girl Nosh, and this is a little different. Um, of course, every message you hear has a lesson in it, an experience in it, and me being a Mercury in Sagittarius, I figured since this is the best thing that I do is storytell. um, if you have a Mercury in Sag, maybe you should do the same thing. People will listen because I'm telling you, Mercury and Sagittarius have this way of explaining things, talking about things where it really intrigues the listener. So I figured since I have this ability to reach out to people, I wanted to put this message on my YouTube channel because most of you really don't know that much about me. You guys only know what I want you to know in a sense. So I figured let's do something a little different, this morning. I'm going to tell you guys a story. It's my story. It's something that happened with me a while back. And since we are going into Valentine's Day, I figured it's kind of, it's a little bittersweet. I don't know. It's somewhat of a tragedy. But I figured I wanted to share it with you guys, share it with my subscribers, share with whoever wants to listen. Basically, hopefully in this message, you'll understand that we all have a journey. And just pay attention to your journey. So I'm going to get into the story now. A while back, I'm talking about a while back, like when I was in my 20s, I was dating someone. I think we were like 2 years of us dating, and we had broken up. We were on a break, and I got a call from this person, and she called me up. So it was a woman. She called me up and she said, "Hey, I need you to come over because there's someone that's been dying to meet you, dying to see you." And I'm like, who is she talking about? And then I realized, I know who she's talking about. So I drive over, and as I pull up to the house, there he is standing there. Now, this individual that was standing there, the person who called me was his sister. Not his sister. I'm sorry, it was his sister. Sorry. It was his sister. He's standing there. And my heart just kind of like burst. Like, oh my God, I hadn't seen this guy in like years. I went to high school with him. And when we were in high school, he graduated before me. And once he graduated, I was still in high school. He ended up going into the military. And once he went off to the military, I barely like heard from him, spoke to him. And you know how it goes. You move on, you live your life, you kind of think back and look like, oh, I wonder what happened to that person. But it had been about maybe 5 years since I've heard from him, 4 years since I've heard from him. And it was just so funny that I was on a break. I was on the fritz with my person that I was dating at the time. And he reached out to me. Well, his sister reached out to me telling me, like he's here, like a surprise. Why don't you come see him? He was on a break from military. He had just finished putting in his 4 years, and he was signing up for another 4 years, and he was visiting home. So, when you get that break in between, you visit home for a little bit. And he's visiting home, and I remember following him upstairs to his house and saying hi to his sister. his nieces and nephews, which they were bigger now, they were grown now. And I remember when we were in high school, they were so little, because he was the youngest out of the family, and this was his older sister. His older sister and I were pretty close. And so anyways, we go upstairs, we hang out for a little bit. And I'm just like, wow, like it's been a while. Like, how you been? And he's like, oh, everything's been good. How are you? I got back, and the first person I wanted to see and speak to was you. And I'm like, feeling all nice and stuff. And we're hanging out. We take a walk. And now we're sitting, on his front porch. And he tells me, how much he missed me. And how much he thought about me. And he says to me, how come you never wrote me while I was in the military? And I said, what are you talking about? I wrote to you all the time. I'm like, I was writing all the time. He goes, yeah, I know. What made you stop? I said, well, you never responded back. You never wrote back to me. So I kind of gave up. I figured, you're busy, you're doing your thing. And I told him, I said, I just remember that last letter that I got from you. And how you were explaining to me that, you're an infantry soldier, and how you named your M16 after me. And he's like, yeah, I remember that. He's like, but he goes, you kind of hurt me because you stopped writing to me. And I said, listen, I didn't stop writing to you. I was always writing to you. You just never responded back. So I stopped writing. And he's like, I did write to you. It's like, I wrote to you all the time. And I'm like, you did? And he's like, yeah, I wrote to you all the time. I'm like, I never got those letters. Were you writing to the right address? And he's like, yeah, he gives me the address that he wrote to. It's like, yeah, that's my address. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I never got those letters. And he's like, no. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, I kind of thought that you forgot about me since you went off into the military. He goes, no, I never forgot about you. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And he's like, I was thinking, would you like to come with me to the base that I'm staying at? I really want us to start over again, I want us to be together. I was thinking that, you can come back with me, and we can get married. And at that time I was about 21, I think it was, so very young. He was about 25, just about, because he was older than me. You have to understand that. I was a freshman, and he was a senior at the time when we were in high school together. And when he went off to the military, I ended up staying in high school. And he continued, serving in the military. And I said to him, I am so flattered, I'm so taken back by your offer, but I'm seeing someone, and we're on a break right now, but I have major feelings for this person, and I really want to be with this person. And he's like, oh, you're dating someone? I'm like, yeah, it's been about, I met 2 years, I think, 2-3 years. I'm like, I met him when I was 19, and I really like him. He's a really nice guy, but we're just broken up right now because there's just a couple things that we don't agree on, and we figured, we take a break, but I have major feelings for him. So I don't think I'm going to be able to accept your offer. And his face saddened, and, he looked at me and he goes, I understand, it's been a while. I totally get it. He goes, I expected this, but I was still hopeful that maybe your answer would be yes. I want to come live with you on base. I want to move with you. I want to, date you. I want to have a relationship with you and possibly get married to you. And I said, you're so sweet. I'm like, but unfortunately, I really want to be honest with you. I do have feelings for someone else. And he goes, that's fine, because I totally understand. He goes, I just wanted to take my shot with you and see what would happen. And he says, but it's good seeing you. He goes, I'm still glad that I got to see you, and I hope we can keep in touch. And I said to him, yes, of course. And then, I kind of went about my way. I hung out with him for a little bit more, and I went about my way. And I ended up getting back with the person that I was on a break with, we eventually ended up getting back together a couple months after that, or I think a month after that. And I totally forgot about the military guy. Now, 2 years go by, and I get a phone call. I get a phone call from my best friend from high school. And she tells me, she's like, hey, did you hear? And I'm like, no. Did I hear what? She's like, such and such passed away. And when she said such and such passed away, she meant the guy from the military. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you know, his car caught on fire and he was in the car. And I'm like, what? Like, wait a minute. I just saw him. He was sitting next to me and we were hanging out and we promised to keep in touch with each other. I'm like, he asked me to move in with him, you know, like to go down to base, to move in with him on base and stuff. And she's like, I don't know. I just found out that he passed away and they're having his memorial service in a couple of days. And I wanted to let you know. She's like, I told your mother because I saw her. I'm like, you did? And she's like, yeah, your mother didn't tell you? And I'm like, no, she did not tell me. My mom did not tell me. So I get off the phone with my best friend and I call my mom up. I'm like, Mom, such and such passed away. She's like, who told you? And I told her, I said, my best friend told me. She's like, yeah. She's like, she stopped by the house the other day to tell you that this happened and you weren't home. And I didn't want to tell you because she goes, you've been so happy with the person you're dating and everything's been so good for you. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want you to feel sad. She goes, I didn't know how to tell you. And I'm like, but Mom, you know, you can't keep that from me. And she goes, I know. She's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, also, I'm like, what? She says to me, come over later. I have to give you something. I was like, all right. So at this time, I was spending more time at the person's house that I was dating than my own house. You know how it is. You date someone, you're always at their house. You're always hanging out with them. So she goes, make sure you come home tonight so I could give you this. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I tell my boyfriend at the time, like, listen, you know, I think it was the weekend. I said, I'm going to, you know, go home because I told him, I was like, you know, a friend of mine passed away and I need to go home this weekend so I could, you know, go to the memorial service. Because everything was so bad. His car burnt so badly and he burnt inside that there was no open casket. Like they already had taken care of that. So it was just a memorial for his friends and family. So my boyfriend at the time says, I totally get it. You know, do what you got to do and just, you know, let me know how everything goes. So I head home. And when I get home, my mom is sitting on the living room couch with a stack of letters. And I'm just looking at her. I'm like, what's that? And she's like, those are the letters he wrote to you when he was in the military. I just didn't want to give them to you because I figured you don't need to be involved with someone who's in the military. You know, he's so far away from you. Like, you know, guys like that, they have girlfriends there and you know, they have love affairs in the military. And I didn't want you to be stuck on him while he was away. And I'm like, those are all his letters. And she's like, yeah, each and every letter that he wrote to you. She's like, I took it from the mail whenever the mailman would deliver them and I would hide them. And my heart sank. Because it brought me back to the conversation that I had with him when he was alive, the military guy. As he was sitting there telling me that he wrote me. And he was upset that I didn't write back to him. And my excuse was, I didn't write back to you or I stopped writing to you because you didn't write to me. And all along, he was writing to me. He was sending me letters. My mom was hiding them from me. So I sat down. I read every letter. And then I prepared myself to go to his memorial. And I think that was really sad. That was really sad for me. That was the saddest pinnacle of my life, where I found out that the guy that I really, really liked in high school, my first crush, my first boyfriend, had passed away. After asking me to move in with him and marry him, and me turning him down because I was dating someone. It was brutally sad. Like, especially reading the letters and knowing that he's not even alive anymore. So his life tragically ended very early. He wasn't even 30 yet. I think he was like maybe like 20, 25, 25, 26. And that changed me. It changed something inside of me, where it's the first time I dealt with a boyfriend dying, or an ex-boyfriend dying, someone I dated dying, that I actually cared about. And the reason why we split up was because of a misunderstanding. Or the reason why we moved far apart from each other or drifted apart was because of a misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding was, I thought he didn't care, and he thought I didn't care, when in reality we both did care. But circumstances in between, people in between, drove us apart. In this sense, my mother keeping the letters from me. I've forgiven my mom since it happened so long ago. It's, you know, like, I'm not the type of person to, like, hold on to a grudge like that. Because I understand that my mom was, you know, just being a mom. She was just looking out for me. And in whatever way that she thought she needed to keep me safe from a heartbreak or a bad relationship, or whatever the case was in her heart, I knew she meant well. So I couldn't hate her. What's done is done. What are you going to do, you know? So I continued dating the person I was with. He was very good about it. He you know, took care of me through it. And it wasn't like, oh, I was like, you know, falling on the floor crying or whatever. I was just sad. Like I said, it was sad to find out that someone so young and so capable, so smart, so distinguished had passed away so tragically. And then on top of it, what was even more sad was the fact that I had just seen that person. And this person was someone that I had feelings for once. But if all of you are wanting to know, the person that I was dating, the person I chose over him and I ended up splitting apart after a few years due to him cheating on me. And it's strange where life brings you, because there are moments in my life where I do go back to this story in my life and I think, what if I would have chosen him, the military guy? What if I would have said yes to the military guy? Would he still be alive? Or would I have died in the car with him? You know, because if I was living with him, right, on base, that's where he was living, and he ended up dying in the car. One thing I didn't tell you is his girlfriend also died with him in the car. And I think about it in a sense where that could have been me if I was his girlfriend. That's why it's a little bittersweet, where because I chose not to go with him, I didn't choose him, I chose the other guy. I'm alive right now because I did that. Now, what if I would have said, yes, I'll move to base with you. Yes, I'll get married to you. You know, yes, I'll be your girlfriend. That would have been me in the car with him as it burned, as it caught on fire. Because both of them died. He had someone in the car with him that he was dating. And she also passed away with him. They both burned to death. What if everything happened because it was designed that way? That I wasn't supposed to be with him because that's not where my journey was supposed to go. And what if I chose to stay with the person that I was with because that person actually saved me from dying? So when you think about this, that's why it gets a little like, oh my God, wait a minute. That's what I thought about. As soon as I got the news that it was him and his girlfriend in the car and they both burned to death, I thought about it like, oh shit, that could have been me. You know, that's the first thing you think about as human, like, oh shit. He was asking me to be his girlfriend. He was asking me to move to base with him. He wanted me to, like, you know, he literally said, let's get married. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, I have feelings for someone. If that day I didn't have feelings for someone, or if someone wasn't in my life, granted that it didn't work out between me and that guy, I would have said yes to the military guy and I would have gone off with him. And I would have died too. But it wasn't my time. It's like the universe knew that if I chose the other guy, I would live. So everything was just set up in a sense where I turned the military guy down. Even though he was my boyfriend from high school. I was a freshman and he was a senior. You know how that looks? You know what I mean? How that looks? Like when you're a freshman and you're dating a senior in high school. Come on, guys. You know how it is. He was like the captain of the basketball team. He was on the football team. Very smart, very intelligent. Everybody loved him. And I was always so proud that he was my man in high school. Like, that's my man. Everybody knew that's No Sheen's man. But once he went off to the military, you know, I thought we would keep in touch, but Mom intervened. They say a mother knows. And when I told my mother, when I got home from the memorial, I went to the memorial. After that, I got home and I walked through the door and I hugged my mother. This is why I couldn't stay mad at her. This is why I let it go. In a way, she kind of saved me. She took the letters, right, and she hid them. She didn't give me the letters. Hence, that put a strain on us. I'm thinking, oh, he don't like me no more. He don't care about me no more. So you know what? Whatever. I'm gonna just let it go. And then I had options, so I went ahead with my options. If she would have given me the letters, we would have stayed strong. We would have stayed connected. I would have eventually went out there and moved out with him. But then there's a flip side. What if he was with me? He would have still been alive today. See, all of these questions come up in a person's head when you really sit down and think about a tragic event, like ways that you could have avoided it or stopped it. Like maybe if I was in his life, he wouldn't have ended up dying. Or what if I was in his life and I would have died with him? Moral of the story is, sometimes you don't know what type of outcome someone brings into your life. And if you're meant to live, you will live. You will get through it. And at the time, it may seem like it is so against you that nothing is working out for you. But when you go through it and you look back at it, you see the signs. Like, wait a minute. No, I was saved. I was protected. And I look at this situation time after time. And you know what I think about? I was saved. I was protected. If I would have chosen the military guy, I would not be here telling you my story. I would have been dead. I would have been burned to death. But then there's that other part that says, what if that wouldn't have happened? We don't know that. We just know that I'm alive and I'm living. Unfortunately for him, he's not. And something similar happened to my cousin. My cousin was dating someone for 7 years. And while they were dating, they were fine. Soon as they got married, this is another story in a story, but just to tell you real quickly. My cousin was dating someone for 7 years, and they finally decided to get married. When they got married, 2 weeks after they got married, she ended up dying. Very young. She was only 27. 2 weeks after their wedding date, 2 weeks to the date, she ended up having a situation and she passed away. That was very tragic for all of us because we just attended her wedding. I was her bridesmaid. I was her maid of honor as well. I helped her get ready for her wedding that day. And she ended up 2 weeks after getting married. 7 days after her birthday. Like in 1 month, I feel like this girl lived her entire life. She got married in 1 month because in the same month of her birthday she got married in the month of her birthday. She got married first. Her birthday came after that. And then 7 days after her birthday, she died. 27 years old. Soon she turned 27, 7 days after she passed away. And it made me think about like, oh my God, what if they would have just kept dating? As soon as she got married to him, it's like her fate changed. And then I remember after we buried my cousin and I was driving home with my dad, my dad says to me, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, but what are we going to do?" And he goes, "That's why it's so important to be careful on who you join your name with, who you join your destiny with." And about 5 years ago, when my dad said this to me in the car, my eyes opened. Like, wow. It's so true. That any given time, when you decide to join with somebody, join fates with somebody, things can change for the better or the worst. Who knows, if she would have just kept dating him, she still would have been alive. As soon as she decided to join her name with his, take his last name, she ended up dying. Or maybe it was just written like that, right? Sometimes we look at it and we think, oh, it was just written like that. However it was written, it will happen. We just have to embrace it. In a sense, it's like my cousin and I shared the same story where that could have been me, where I could have married this guy, the military guy, and I could have ended up dying with him. Just like my cousin married the guy that she was dating for 7 years, ended up dying after she got married to him. Now, what do we call this? What do we say about this? You know what I say? Thank you. Whoever is watching out for me out there, whether it's my mother, whether it's my protector, whether it's my guardian angels, thank you so much. This is why I don't really complain about things. I don't point the finger at the universe. I don't place blame on others. Because I've gone through situations like this where I've been saved so many times. And even though it's tragic in a sense, the reason why it's bittersweet to me is because it's sad that this happened to him and his girlfriend, that they both passed away in the car. But a selfish part of me, inside of me, says, thank God it wasn't me. And it's only normal to say that as a human, because I could have been me. And then I say thank you to God, and thank you to my mom for hiding those letters. Thank you to God for me having feelings, in that moment when that military guy asked me to be with him for someone else, even though it didn't work out with me and that person, right? What if he was just a catalyst to protect me from going to the military guy and having this happen to me in my life? When we're in the middle of something, we forget to see what's really going on. It only takes a little bit once we get out of what we're going on, whatever's going on with us, when we get out of it, we're able to see how everything played out. It wasn't written for me to pass during that time. That's why I'm still here. This is why I'm a strong believer of fate. That's why I'm a lover of fate. Amore fati. That's what I live by. I live by amore fati. Lover of fate. Not like, like lover of my own fate in a sense. Because whatever my fate is going to bring to me is what's going to happen. So look back at life and be appreciative of where you're standing today. Because it took a lot of protection. It took a lot of guiding. It took a lot of, catalytic events, people, places, things to happen in order for you to be standing where you're standing today and breathing the way you're breathing today. So don't look down on yourself. Don't look down on your situations. Embrace them. Be appreciative of them because you don't know what they're protecting you from. If it didn't work out with someone, trust me, there was some type of protection there. If you got let go from a job, there was a reason behind it. Don't get upset. Just move on. This is why I advocate so much. Just move on and be happy. Be appreciative. Be open and accepting. Because if you hold on to something that really isn't meant to be yours, you're in a way insulting the universe. Because maybe the universe put itself on the line to protect you from whatever was going to happen to you, and they moved you out of the course of it. But us being humans, we blame the universe, we blame God. We blame God in a sense like, why haven't you given me love? Why am I not this? And why am I? Instead, we should say, you know what? Thank you so much because your plan is greater than the plan that I have for myself. Something I live by is man makes plan, God laughs. Because God's plan is way greater and much more beautiful than the plan you have for yourself. So this is my story. And as I'm telling you this story, I have this song in my head that I'm going to listen to afterwards. And if you want to listen to it, you can listen to it too. It's from, I may be pronouncing his name wrong, but it's Lauv, L-A-U-V, Lauv. The same guy who wrote the song, I like me better when I'm with you. It's such a hit song. Whenever I hear that song, I think of Peter Kavinsky and Lara Jean from To All the Boys I Have Ever Loved. If you ever watched that, the saga of that, and now they have that EXO Kitty season. The story about the little sister in the movie, Lara Jean's little sister Kitty. And even in the new season of EXO Kitty, they play the song, I like me better when I'm with you. So this gentleman wrote a song, and I think, I'm not sure of the name, but it's something about tragedy. And he goes, we were so beautiful, so tragic, that no one else can compare. I don't know the title of the song, but it's definitely Love. Beautiful song. That's the song that's playing in my head right now. That yes, things can be so beautiful, but they could turn out tragic, and it's okay. Just learn from it. If not, you're going to go through life blaming. And if you go through life blaming things on others and God, you're not really going to be able to see the lesson. And if you can't see the lesson, you're going to keep repeating the lesson. The lesson I learned was There's no need to blame my mother for hiding the letters. There's no need to blame my ex-boyfriend who broke up with me, because he cheated on me. There's no need to blame anybody. It's just that's how it played out, because it needed to play out that way. Because the most important thing out of that was me, and I needed to be protected. I needed to be saved. I needed to stay alive. So if things happened that hurt me emotionally in order for me to stay alive, then so be it. At least I'm alive today and able to tell this story to you guys. And if you didn't learn from it, it's fine. You just got to hear a really sad story. Which for me is kind of difficult to do. I really don't like to share my personal experiences like this openly. Especially something like this that's so tender, so close to my heart. And believe it or not, I dream about him, the military guy that's passed away. I dream about him from time to time when I'm going through like rough patches in my life. He's there in my dreams. And I'm learning that, I've learned that he is someone who cared about me so much that even in passing, he still watches over me. And that is so beautiful. That we may not be together in this world, but in the spiritual realm, we're still connected. Just like my cousin. My cousin is still connected to me even though she's not here. I see her. I feel her all the time. And I'm so appreciative of that. That I have people that I love and care about so much watching over me from the other side. And this is why I tell you guys, be careful who you hurt, because you don't know who's watching over them. You don't know what those people have gone through in order to be protectors for the people that are alive today. Some of us really do have guardian angels on the other side, if you believe it or not. And these guardian angels protect us so well, like they don't let anything touch us. So if anything, you can throw up a thanks to your guardian angel after hearing this. Like, thank you so much for protecting me. For me, my guardian angel was my mom at the time. She hid the letters, bro. She hid the letters. If she knew something. It's not like she didn't like him. He was a very nice guy. She liked him too. But there was something inside of her that felt like it wasn't right to give me the letters. It wasn't right for me to be with him. And I was so upset with my mom at the time. So mad at her. I think I stopped talking to her for like a week. Like for a week, I just did not even want to see her. Like, how could you steal my letters? And make me think that he didn't care about me anymore, that he just forgot me. And her answer was, I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't supposed to give you the letters. And then when I told her how he passed away, because all she was told by my friends was that, he's no longer alive. Like, he's no longer in this world anymore. They didn't go into details of what happened to him. When I went into the details of what happened to him, like how he was driving down the highway one day with his girlfriend in the car and his car caught on fire, like the car literally blew up, guys. Something happened to the engine and it just blew. And they were both in the car and they got stuck in the car and they couldn't get out. They burned alive. When I told her that, with tears streaming down her face, she looked at me and she held me and she hugged me and she goes, I am so glad I kept you away from him because I at least get to hold you today. You're alive today. What if that was you in the car with him? And she's the one who like spun my whole entire world around when I thought about that. Like, wait, mom's right. What if that was me? So whatever happens, just understand it happens only for your greatest and highest good. The universe will never, never go against you. The universe will always be for you. All right? I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this moment with you. the story with you about my military guy and my cousin, to whom both I miss so much, but I totally understand. And I'm not upset with you guys at all. I'm appreciative that you guys are still watching over me. Thank you.